Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Protests staged in Iranthi against the decision to bury COVID-19 victims in the area. Attorney General instructs to arrest police officers responsible for assaulting a law student at the Palyagoda police station. 380,000 COVID vaccines from the WHO's COVAX to arrive in Sri Lanka, says health authorities. The US has imposed sanctions on senior Russian officials over the poisoning of opposition leader Alexei Navalny.
Now those stories in detail. The identity of the headless female body discovered inside a large travelling bag left unattended at Gasworks Junction in Dam Street on Monday has been identified.
The suspect and the 30-year-old female was staying at a rest house in Hanwella. Based on investigations conducted by Dam Street Police, the victim was identified as a 30-year-old resident from Teppanwa of the Kuruwita police area. However, given that the corpse is missing the head, the identity needs to be reconfirmed with DNA tests. Based on investigations conducted by Dam Street Police, information had come to light regarding a couple that arrived at a guest house located in the vicinity of Hanwella bus stand on 28th February night. The following day at around 11 a.m, the male had left the guest house with a travelling bag. The perpetrator of this brutal murder has been identified as a sub-inspector who was attached to the Buttala police and who was on leave at the time of the incident. The abandoned travelling bag was discovered in Dam Street on the 1st of March. Since the suspect had provided the correct details of his address and ID number to the rest house they were lodging in, the police managed to raid his house in Badalkumbura of Badulla.
Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira instructed the Inspector General of Police to arrest all police officers responsible for the assault on Migara Gunaratna, the son of former Governor President's Council Maitri Gunaratna, at the Palyagoda police station. A chief inspector of the Palyagoda police and 4 other officers have been interdicted in connection with the attack that took place on the 25th of February. Moving along, the Joint Unemployed Graduate Association staged a protest opposite the Fort Railway Station this morning. The protesters charged that the age limit for recruitment for employment has been exceeded due to being unemployed for a long time following the graduation. They say this has caused difficulties in pursuing career opportunities. Meanwhile, the Joint Centre for Unemployed Graduates convened a media briefing today. Every year, don't leave us stranded on the roads. Since 2012, we have been fighting. We have been on the roads. We have been raising our voices regarding the issue. But we still have not received an opportunity for unemployed graduates. We are forcing the government by December of 2021. All graduates who are unemployed must be given appointments. A proper mechanism needs to be created for each year to provide employment for graduates. Residents of the Iranathivu Island staged a protest in Iranamada town in Kilinochi against the decision taken to bury COVID-19 victims in the island. There are currently 111 families living on the Iranathivu Island. Of the resettled families here, 350 of them still live in the town of Iranamada in Kilinochi due to the lack of infrastructure on the island of Iranathivu. The villagers allege that by choosing this place for the burial of COVID-19 victims now, they will not be able to settle on the island even in the future. Meanwhile, it was reported yesterday that the government has paid attention to 6 more places for the burial of COVID-19 victims. 7 COVID-19 deaths were reported yesterday. The Department of Government Information said that the deaths were reported from Colombo 15, Colombo 5, Colombo 2, Piliandala, Pilimatalawa and Galevele areas. The deceased individuals were between the ages of 63 and 87. This raises Sri Lanka's total COVID-19 death toll to 483. Meanwhile, 317 COVID-19 cases were identified yesterday, raising the country's caseload to 83,870. While 598 recoveries were reported yesterday, Sri Lanka's total number of recoveries now stands at 80,020. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry says 380,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine will be received to Sri Lanka under the WHO's COVAX program tomorrow. Specialist Dr. Palita Bekon, WHO's Special Envoy on COVID-19 for South Asian region, said 1.4 million doses of vaccine will be provided to Sri Lanka under the COVAX program before May. He noted despite being inoculated, health guidelines issued by the WHO should be continued to be followed. Meanwhile, a decision has been made to inoculate individuals engaged in the tourism industry. Secretary to the Ministry of Tourism, Siripala Hettiarachchi, said accordingly 250,000 individuals involved in the tourism industry will be inoculated. He noted the inoculation process is set to commence from next week onwards. Moving along, different opinions were expressed with regard to the cabinet decision to hand over the West Container Terminal to Adani Group in India.
අන්න දැන් බටහිර ජැටිය ලංකාවට අහිමි වෙනවා. අපි කවුරුද නැගෙනහිර ජැටිය දෙන්න හැදුවේ අදානි සමාගම.
Sri Lanka will lose the West Container Terminal now. They wanted to hand over the East Container Terminal to Adani Group. However, they have given the West Container Terminal to them. When we think about the various strategies that have been used by the government, we can understand that the strategy that they have used here was making a fake public outcry. When they want to get something done, they use that strategy. They use their close associates to sell countries' assets. If East Container Terminal is a public asset of the country, isn't West Container Terminal an asset of the state? Did they execute this fake strategy in order to sell the West Container Terminal?
ජැටිය අපි හන්නේ බටහිර ජැටිය රටේ සම්පතක් නෙවෙයි. බටහිර දෙන්න ඕන හින්දා ඒ ව්‍යාජ ඒ විදිහේ සැලැස්මක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරේ.
කැබිනට් එකේ කොහෙවත්වත් තීන්දුව ගන්න බෑ.
Cabinet cannot take decisions to sell assets to any company. Cabinet has not taken such decision, but the Cabinet can decide whether to develop any asset with the private sector. Thereafter only they can decide whether to get into discussions with these companies. It was the same to the previous one.
ඒක ගත්තාම තමයි ওই සමාගම් පිළිබඳව අපිට සාකච්ඡා කරන්න වෙන්නේ. ඒක කලින් එකටත් එහෙමමයි.
We disseminate all information to the general public regarding the decisions that we are to take. Likewise, we will not sign secret agreements like the previous government. Our government will not sign agreements without disclosing them to the parliament and the general public. A fire broke out in the Talawakale Holyrood Reserve, destroying an area of about 5 acres. Which belongs to the Talawakale Police Division in Hatton.
The fire broke out at around 12 noon yesterday and was reported to have spread rapidly throughout the reserve. Plantation workers and locals of the area worked hard to control the blaze, and it is suspected that someone may have set fire to the reserve. The villagers said several natural springs flowing down from the reserve are at a high risk of drying up due to such forest fires.
The army opened fire on a cab transporting a consignment of satin wood in the Nochimote area in Vaunia this morning. Police said the driver and his assistant were injured in the shooting. According to the police, the injured suspects were admitted to the Vaunia General Hospital. Hospital sources said the two suspects sustained injuries to their legs. Further investigations are underway by the Omantai police. Candidates for the recruitment examination for English teachers in the Eastern Province allege that certain questions have been leaked.
The examination is conducted by the Public Service Commission for the High National English Diploma holders. The examination was held on Saturday, the 27th of February at examination centres in Ampara, Batticaloa and the Trincomalee districts. But the candidates alleged that certain questions in the question paper have been released beforehand. They claim that the tuition teacher who conducts tuition classes in Tamil in the Batticaloa district had included these questions in his tutorials. We made an inquiry into this matter with the governor of the Eastern Province, Anuradha Hampath. The governor noted that the Criminal Investigation Department has been requested to conduct a thorough investigation on the matter.
A suspect has been taken into custody for impersonating an ordinary level examination candidate at the Mullaitivu Seelawatha Examination Centre. The police stated that a 27-year-old individual residing in the Nedumkeni Parisankulam area had been taken to custody. The Mullaitivu police has begun further investigations on the matter. Meanwhile, an ordinary level examination candidate who was injured from an attack by a group of students at the Kakirawa Madatuwa Examination Centre has been admitted to the Dambulla Hospital. 3 students in connection with the incident have been taken to custody. The residents of the Mittakotuwa area in Toduava, attached to the Land Reform Commission, expressed their displeasure regarding the clearing of a 49-acre plot of land in the area.
The villagers stated that this plot of land is the only place where the water drains out during heavy rainy seasons.
Valuable mangrove specialist trees have been cut down. This is a mangrove forest in the North Tandia division. In addition to this mangrove forest, this village known as Punchigoda gets affected by every flood. When that happens, the people suffer terrible inconveniences.
Recently, the measuring process of the land took place and the residents protested their actions. Due to the digging of large potholes in order to mine for gems, environmental destruction has been caused to the surrounding area. Large potholes can be seen inside the reserve as well. Our correspondent said this could lead to large-scale environmental destruction as well.
Local news. The rampant environmental destruction taking place near the Rambakanoya has attracted public outcry in the country at present. A broad discussion took place on the environmental destruction taking place in the area during a meeting of the Gammadda Pradeshya Mandapaya in the area. Area residents and the leader of the indigenous community expressed their views on the matter during the discussion. The program will be aired on our TV channels in the coming days.
The land in which I was living was transformed into a paddy field. The houses were removed from the area. Eventually, I have not been able to receive a single acre of land. My request to these officers have proven futile. I am helpless as they keep only promising to give me the land. I think they are not giving us land because we are not wealthy and powerful individuals. That is what I feel. These lands belong to those residents. The others don't have a right to talk about these lands. The rightful owners of these lands have the right to live on it. Therefore, no one can forcefully grab these lands from the residents. No one has the right to do so.
That we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV Bond. For details of the stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Martin Satyanisan, along with our producer Hajira Muhid. You have yourself a wonderful day.